Okay, good morning. As we go to the chitas of the day, we're going to start with the chumash of today. Today is Wednesday, and it's the fourth reading of the portion of Vayigash. We're holding in chapter 45, verse number 28. Yisrael, so Israel said, Rav oid Yosef b'dichai. Enough, my son is still alive. Elcha I will go, and I will see him b'terem almost before I die. Rashi says, I have enough happiness and joy. Says, my son Yosef is still alive. Chapter 46, verse number 1. Israel already had. He came to Beersheba. He slaughtered over their sacrifices of Yitzhak to the God of his father Isaac. Rashi's Be'er-Sheva, Be'er-Sheva. He came to Be'er-Sheva. He made there a sacrifice. What is required to honor his father more than is required to honor his grandfather. Therefore, his sacrifices are associated with Isaac and not with Abraham. And God said to Israel and told him in a vision at night in sleep. Yaakov, he said, Yaakov, and Jacob answered, Hineni, here I am. Why say double time? Yaakov, Lashon Chiba is an expression of love. He told him, I am the God of your father. Altira. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid for going down to Egypt. Because I will make you a great nation there. That says, Altira, do not be afraid to go down to Egypt. God encouraged him because he was troubled of being compelled to leave the Holy Land. He had to leave Eretz Yisrael to go down south, to go ultimately down to Egypt. I am going to go down with you to Egypt. And I will go up from you with you for Egypt. The Yosef Yoshes Yadi Alidecha, and Yosef will place his hand on your eyes. So Rashi says, he promised him that he would be buried in Eretz Yisrael, which he was ultimately buried in Eretz Yisrael. Verse 5, Yaakov stood up from Beersheba. And the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob. There's Tapam and their young, there's Nesheim and their wives. Ba'agolis on the wagons, Ashishalach Pari, which Pari sent to them, lost his place to carry him down to Egypt. Verse 6, and they took their livestock and all their possessions, everything that they acquired in the land of Canaan, and they came down to Egypt. Yaakov, and all his descendants with him. So Rashi says, but what they had acquired in Padan Aram, right? Yaakov acquired what he made in Israel. He acquired a lot in his father's house. So Rashi says, whatever he acquired in his father-in-law's house, he gave everything to Esau in payment for his share in the Ma'aras Machpelah. So even though Yaakov had been brought up the first son, which would automatically give him the right to be buried in the cave of Machpelah, but he wanted to pay him. So Yaakov went, they made a deal, he gave him all his possessions that he acquired in Padan Aram. A lot of money. So he gave him everything that he acquired outside of Israel, and he gave it to Esau. This is a meaning which I acquired for myself with heaps. He placed before him stacks of gold and silver like a heap, and said to him, take these, that's it. You can have all the possessions, all the gold and the silver, everything that I've acquired in my father-in-law's house. 22 years of service and with the whole sheep, and I did all the chachmas and everything, and I acquired a lot of money. Here it all is. Take it, and I'm buying from you the part in the Ma'aras Mapela, in the burial where Abraham and Isaac are buried. Banov, verse 7. Banov ubnei Banov, his children and his children's children. B'nai Banov, and his daughters and his sons of his daughters. Chol Zari, and all his descendants. Hevi ite Mitzrayim, every single one of them came down to Mitzrayim. There was 69 actually when it came into the walls. Yecheved, another girl, was born in the family, but there was ultimately 70 all that came down to Mitzrayim. Banov, B'nai Banov, who B'nai Banov, and the daughter of his son. Who is the daughter of his son? This is Sarach Bas Asher. These are the two famous daughters of his son, Sarach Bas Asher, who was blessed to live. Yaakov blessed Sarach Bas Asher to live forever. And the Yecheved Bas Levi, and the Yecheved Bas Levi that's going to be born as they enter into Mitzrayim. Yecheved, the daughter of Levi, which became the mother of Moshe Rabbeinu. So Yecheved, who was the daughter of Levi, which is the mother of Moshe Rabbeinu, was born as they came in to the land of Egypt. And that completes the Chumash of today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. We're holding on chapter 5. This is the beginning of the 5th chapter, which the Alter Rebbe explains the greatness of learning Torah. And because he explains that the concept of a mitzvah, the aspect of Torah and mitzvahs, one of the greatness of that the Eibishter God gave us a Torah and he gave us mitzvahs is that when God gave us a Torah and mitzvahs, he gave us himself. There's an expression in the Gemara. The Gemara says that it says the word Anochi, when God said the 10 Commandments, I am God, your God. Anochi is an interesting word. It's not a Hebrew word. It's actually an Egyptian word, the Gemara says. Anochi in Hebrew would be Ani. It should have said Ani Hashem Alekechem. It says Anochi because it stands, the Gemara says, the Talmud says it stands for an acronym of 4 words. Ani, Nafshi, Ksavis, Yahavis. I, my essence, I have written and I've given. That means the Alter Rebbe explains that the concept of the Eibishter God coming down into this world and connecting to God himself is specifically in this world. Because God came down in a mitzvah. The mitzvah is the will of God. The Torah is the chachma of God, the wisdom of God. And God and his will and his wisdom are one. And therefore, when we do a mitzvah and we learn Torah, we are touching, grasping God himself, so to say. Where you cannot acquire this in any spiritual worlds, in any spiritual level. You can't acquire this in a spiritual, because in the spirituality, there's a limit of spirituality that you can receive. There's a limit, because the spirituality is an earth, and the earth it needs a vessel, and you'll never understand the ultimate aspect of the spiritual concept. You don't understand God? But we're not trying to understand God. We're trying to grasp God. We're trying to connect to God. We're trying to become one with God. And that God, in essence, gave us Torah mitzvahs. The second we do a mitzvah, we garment ourselves with God. God surrounds us. And when we learn Torah, not only do we garment ourselves with God, but we actually, so to say, take it within. With Toifis, we actually have the concept of grasping HaKadosh Baruch Hu by learning Torah. And the Alter Rebbe goes down and explains this concept a little more deeper in the aspect of what does that mean? What does that mean? The Alter Rebbe further explanation to more fully elucidate the expression Tfisa. to grasp. In the words of Elijah, as we say this every Friday, the Pasach Eliyahu, we say a statement before Shabbos, the statement of Elijah, statement given by Elijah the prophet. And he goes through a Kabbalistic statement, Pasach Eliyahu, you can learn it, it's written that we say this before the coming in on Shabbos. Over there, he says the expression, les machshava tfisa bach. Expression, no thought can grasp you. As explained in chapter 4, we can't ordinarily grasp God with our intellect, only through Torah study. Over here, you can't grasp God, but you can grasp him through learning a pasuk in the Chumash, through learning a Torah concept. There you could grasp God. Realizing our inability to comprehend godliness will thus explain how we do grasp him through Torah. So if we say less machshava, no thought can grasp God, how do you grasp God? Through Torah. So here the Alter Rebbe is going to explain. Ready? In a kol seichel ham kishem maskul masig b'sichle eiz muskel, when any intellect perceives and understands some intellectual subject, what happens when I understand something? So at that moment, my mind grasps, surrounds, it takes a hold, grasps that subject and encompasses it. My mind surrounds that subject, and my mind, I can now imagine that subject. And the subject is grasped and encompassed by and is clothed within the intellect that understood and perceived it. So both surround each other. The intellect surrounds the concept, and the concept surrounds the intellect. So look at the explanation over here. It says the subject, which is now within the human intellect, is surrounded and encompassed by that intellect, much as a material object is surrounded by the hand that grasps it. But the subject can be said to be within the mind only once the mind is fully understood it. As indicated by Alter Rebbe, use a past tense, the intellect that understands and perceives it. Before mastering the subject, however, while the mind is engaged in not analyzing its detail, the subject is still above the mind. And the relationship between them is reversed. The mind is within the subject and is encompassed by it. So before the person understands it, the concept, the subject is surrounding him. The second, the person understands it. Now he's grasping it. So also the intellect is clothed within the subject at the time of the intellectual comprehension and grasping. So while I'm trying to understand the subject is above me. I'm trying to take it in. I'm trying to understand it. So while I'm trying to understand it, the subject is surrounding me. When I understand it, I grasp it. Thus, the act of understanding an idea, the mind both encompasses the concept and is encompassed by it. And this is significant term of grasping used above. So now let's bring it to Torah. Let's bring it to Torah. And so I'll give you an analogy. For example, when one understands, right? Every person can open up a Mishnah. Every one of us can open up Mishnayos, which is the oral law of the Torah. And we understand, we learn halacha in the Mishnah, or the Gemara, or in the Talmud. We're learning a Jewish law. And we understand it, la'ashure al-bruya. We understand the Mishnah, and we understand the Gemara clearly and thoroughly. Right? It might take some strenuous application of his mind, but ultimately we comprehend the law, the Mishnah, the law of the Torah we're talking about. So if I comprehend a simple law in the Mishnah, I understand it. And understand it doesn't mean I don't just read it and understand what it's. I understand the law. I understand. Understanding is the law. The law is going into the law and grasping all the details of the law. But once I have a comprehension of that law, I have the law in my mind. The law is in my mind. So the law is not a secret. The laws of the Torah, everybody can learn. Then his intellect grasps and encompasses that halacha. And his intellect is also clothed within at that time when he strives to understand it. And what is that law? What is that law that I'm learning? That law that I'm learning is I'm not learning civil law. I'm not learning man's law. I'm learning God's law. The law is the law of the Torah, not the law of man. It's the law of God. And this law, and this law is the law of the Torah. It's the law of God. And what is God? Some of the laws of God. What are some of the basic laws of God? In the Torah it says, find it in the Torah, and then you find it in the Mishnah, and then you find it in the Gemara. That way, if Reuven would claim it thus, and Shimon will claim it thus, the law would be this and this. That's a law of the Torah. Let's say, I'll give you an example. The law of the Torah is that if a person, Reuven says to Shimon, you owe me $100, and Shimon is a Meidim and Mitzas, he says, I owe you $50. The Torah says, Shimon needs to make a vow. That's the law of the Torah, that he only owes him $50. That's a pasuk in the Torah. There's a lot of Gemara called the Meidim and Mitzas. Somebody who is Meidim, who acknowledges 50%. But the pasuk is a pasuk in the Torah. So the Torah says, it's not civil law, this is Torah law. God wanted, if Reuven says you owe me $100 and Shimon says you owe me $50, I will only owe you $50. The Torah says you call the Meidim and Mitzas, you call the person who agrees to have it, now you have to make a vow that you only owe $50. That's a law in the Torah. You don't find that in civil law. That's a law in the Torah. That's what God wanted. That's the Chochmah Eibishter. You can go and understand and comprehend this law. And there's a lot of to it in the Gemara and the Mishnah, etc. But once you comprehend it, you got it. You understand the law of Meidim Mitzvahs. Everybody can learn the law of Meidim Mitzvahs. Everybody learns Mishnah whenever he's 10 years old. He learned this every 10-year-old boy in Yeshiva. When he was 10 years old, he was starting to learn Mishnah. Learn this Mishnah. Learn this law. And then when he was 10 or 13, he learned it in the Gemara. And he understood it. And he comprehended it. And he understood the difference between a person. It's the law that you can comprehend. At the same moment, it's God's law. It's not civil law. It's not man-made law. It's God's law. So in essence, me and you, even as a young boy, a young girl, can comprehend the wisdom of God. Even let's say you have a situation, laws in the Torah that will never happen. It will never come to such a situation. Laws in the Torah, for example, goring ox. The last time I was in Boca, I don't know who has an ox. So we don't have ox goring ox. But there's whole laws in the Torah of ox goring ox. First 3 times in Tam, 3 times in Muad. These are all laws in the Torah that maybe today that we're not farmers and we don't have oxes, it'll never happen, this law. But it's not important. It's the wisdom of God. It's a pasuk in the Torah. Ox pouring ox is a pasuk in the Torah. It's the wisdom of God. And that's the beauty. So here, it's not important. Again, if I want to connect to God's wisdom, it's not important whether it's going to happen or not going to happen. I want to know God's wisdom. I'm not learning Gemara. I'm not learning halacha to know what to do. I'm learning Torah to connect to God. Why? Because after all, we learn the Torah because we want to know what is the wisdom of God. If the guy will claim this way, the law will be this way. If the guy will claim that way, the law will be that. And that's the wisdom of God. If we can learn and understand why God said this and God said that, it's unbelievable. You're comprehending God's wisdom. When he understands, he comprehends the verdict of Allah set forth the Mishnah of the Gemara of Paskim halacha codifiers. Then he actually comprehends and grasps and the will and the wisdom of God, whom no thought can grasp. Right? On one hand, no thought can grasp the wisdom of God, and I grasp it. The only way you can grasp God is learning halacha, is learning Torah. That's the way each and every one of us can take in. And that's why, again, the Torah is compared to bread, lechem, and it's compared to water. Because both of these entities come in within man. The Eibishter gives us all the capability to surround him, so to say, to grasp him, to take a hold of it, so to say. That's why learning Torah is the greatest anything that you can do in the world. That's why the Torah is something we should learn anytime we have the time to learn Torah. We should learn Torah. Right? So there's mitzvahs you cannot do at night. That'd be tefillin. You can only do it once in the morning. But Torah, whenever you have a chance to learn Torah, whether it's day or night, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I can't sleep, open up a Chumash, open up a Mishnah, open up a Gemara, learn Torah, fill your mind. Let your mind grasp Torah as much as possible. Because by doing that, you are actually taking a hold of God. You're grasping him. Because your mind is grasping the wisdom of God. And as we explained before, the wisdom of God is God. Because you can't separate God from his wisdom. And that's how the Rebbe says, this unity of my mind, my wisdom, and God's wisdom is a unity. When I learn, I understand halacha, I understand the pasuk. That unity is a wondrous unity. That is in the physical realm, there's no unity similar or parallel to it. Because there's nothing else that you can unite with something else but in your mind. But in your mind. Any two physical entities cannot become one. In your mind, two things can become one. The wisdom of God and my wisdom can become one. That they should actually become one and unified from every side and angle. Here we have a chance to unite with God in a unity that is no place else in the world, only through my wisdom becoming one with God's wisdom, and it's the greatest unity that can be in the world. And this is the distinctive, infinitely great and wondrous superiority of the mitzvah of knowing Torah v'hasaga and understanding Torah. There's no greater mitzvah than learning Torah, than taking my mind and learning Torah, understanding Torah, comprehending Torah, using my brain to learn Torah, not just use my brain to hear Torah, just listen, to learn. That's why it's called lasik b'divrei Torah. Lasik means like a job. If I have a job, I put myself into it. If I want to be successful, I put myself into it. I need to put myself into the learning of Torah. It's not a subject. It's not a nice evening or morning, coffee break. It is a concept that I need to long up into it. In Yiddish, it's to harvard, to toil in the learning of Torah. That's what the Gemara says. If you would work and you would learn Torah correctly, you would never do a sin. Because both work is labor and Torah is labor. If we would learn Torah the way we need to labor and learn Torah, we do work, we labor, we would be tired. Torah would tire us. Learning Torah is a tiring concept because it's a labor in it. The labor of love. Like work should be a labor of love. So we need to labor in the learning of Torah. And it's greater. The learning of Torah is greater. I'll call mitzvahs maises over all mitzvahs that are action. I feel a mitzvah to even mitzvahs that you have to do with words, like prayer is a mitzvah you do with your mouth. I feel a mitzvah tamatesh b'dibur. It's even over the mitzvah or oral Torah study, which is a mitzvah to learn. There's a mitzvah to learn. You make a bracha, for example. You make a bracha on the reading of the Torah. When you go to the Torah reading, the mitzvah is to read the Torah. When you get called to the Torah on Shabbos or Monday and Thursday, you're not learning Torah, you're reading Torah. So there's a mitzvah to read the Torah. And we make a blessing before we read the Torah and a blessing after. Why? Because it's a mitzvah to read the Torah. The mitzvah to hear the words of the Torah. So it's a mitzvah to read the Torah. Usually used to be, years ago, there was not a Baal Korah. A guy was called up to the Torah, he made a blessing, he read, and then he made an after blessing. Today, since most of us cannot read, it's hard. So therefore, we have a Baal Korah. He reads for us. So we make the bracha and he reads for us. So he's reading the Torah. We don't understand what he's reading. We're just hearing words of Torah. That's a mitzvah. But that's not the mitzvah of learning Torah. That's the mitzvah of reading Torah. So it's something, ultimately we're reading something, it's like an action. We don't really comprehend what we're doing. We don't really comprehend what we're saying. We're just reading it. And that is a mitzvah. And therefore it's a beautiful mitzvah. Everybody should do the mitzvah, get called to the Torah. That's the first thing we do about mitzvah boy. We call him to the Torah. They get called to the Torah, and either he reads or somebody else reads, and he gets called to the Torah, do the mitzvah of saying words of Torah, or hearing words of Torah, or somebody saying for him the words of Torah. But that's not learning Torah. Learning Torah is comprehending it. And that is a whole different reality. That is becoming one through my wisdom with the wisdom of the Torah. Because through the concept of a mitzvah, because that's the difference. The difference between Torah and mitzvahs is a mitzvah, you're trying to connect to the ratzon of the Eibishter, the will of God, and God clothes you. Through a mitzvah performed in action and in speech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu malbis nefesh. God clothes the soul, and envelopes it with his light from head to toe. So that's the beauty of a mitzvah. The beauty of a mitzvah is that we are garmenting ourselves. That's why mitzvahs are called garment in the Kabbalah. Because we garment ourselves, we clothe ourselves, we surround ourselves with God. But that's not by learning Torah, but this and Torah. And with the knowledge of Torah, which is also a mitzvah to know God, and that's through learning Torah. Besides the fact that the soul clothed itself in the wisdom of God, which is like the mitzvah, the soul clothed itself with God's wisdom. In the gam chosar Hashem b'kirbe. At the same moment, also, he surrounds God. He digests. He digests in his mind. His mind becomes a different mind because he takes in the wisdom of God and his brain surrounds the wisdom of God. Right? Through his intellect comprehending, grasping, and encompassing whatever the Torah knowledge it is capable of grasping and comprehending. Each person according to his seichel. And his knowledge and understanding in the pardes, the four modes of Torah interpretation, a pshat, simple meaning, remez, when it leads to the drush, to the homiletic part, and the side, the secrets. So this is the beauty that also the Torah, that's why even when we start teaching a child of 5 years old, we start learning with a child 5 years old. Self-understood what he understands when he's 5 years old, even different than what he understands when he's 6 years old, or 7, or 10, or 11, or 15, or 20, or 30, or 50, or 60, or 70. Because the brain keeps on growing. And the comprehension, the maturity keeps on developing. So we understand things more. And the truth is that we all know our capacity and understanding. Not everybody's the same. Everybody's different in their understanding. And the Torah doesn't want you to understand it with somebody else. Don't be a parrot. You're not a what are called, you're not a tape recorder. The Torah wants you to become knowledgeable. And you can say and expound on the Torah. You can teach, lilmed ulalamed, to learn and to teach. Teach somebody else Torah. And every person is going to teach Torah differently. Every person is going to teach Torah differently. And that's the beauty, because every person is supposed to acquire the Torah in his knowledge, and now with his knowledge, teach it. Teach what you understand. Because the Torah becomes you. And now you understand why in Gemara and Halacha we have arguments. Because Hillel understood the Torah A, and Shammai understood it B. And they're both right. They're both right. Because they both understood the Torah. We're not arguing in ego. They both understood the Torah. They both would nullify themselves to the learning of Torah, and they both understood it differently. That's the beauty. That's what the Torah is, Rechavim Riyam, never ending. Since through Torah knowledge, the Torah is absorbed in the soul and the intellect of a person, and it's encompassed within them, Lachain and Nikra, and that's why, as I said before, it's called the Torah. It's called Lechem. It's called bread, Umazin HaNefesh, and food for the soul. But just like the physical bread nourishes the body when it is ingested and absorbed within it, and when it is transformed into blood in the flesh of his own flesh, when you eat, your body will live and be sustained. So through the knowledge and the comprehension, again, very important over here. The concept of knowledge and comprehension. We're not talking about us listening. We're talking about learning. We're talking about learning. Each and every one of us needs to learn this. No, you're listening to me, but you need to learn this. And that's what you need. The Gemara says you need to learn something maybe 100 times. The Gemara says real learning is learning something 100 times. So learning something once is not considered learning. That's called listening. It's a wonderful thing. But learning means to go into it and learn it again and again and again until you can know what you're saying. And you can repeat it. And you can repeat it in the way you comprehended it. That's the beauty. It's not just to repeat what somebody else said, but you understand it, and now you repeat it with your intellect, the way you comprehend it, with your emotions and with your background. Repeat it in that kind of a way. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of Torah. Torah is available to everybody. It wants to be digested by everybody because it gives it life. The body will sustain. So too, through the knowledge and comprehension of Torah by the soul of the person who studies it. It's the soul the way he's in his brain, because the brain can comprehend it. When he concentrates strongly with his intellect, until the Torah is grasped in his mind. It becomes one with him. And they become one. My brain, my wisdom, my brain, my seichel becomes one with the wisdom of God. That's when Torah becomes bread. Nasa, muzzle, and nefesh. That's when it becomes food to the soul. So that's the power of learning. That's the beauty of learning Torah. It becomes inner life for it. The fountainhead of life. Because you're becoming one with God. When you become one with God through your wisdom, you're united with God in a unity that you cannot be united in any other thing in the world. Because God is enclosed in his wisdom and the Torah that are in the soul of a Torah student. And that's why the verse says, your Torah is in my inner parts. It's in me. Meaning the Torah is food for the soul. It's Chaim, as brought down in Kabbalah, it's Chaim, Shad Mem Dalet, Portal 44, Beta Gimel, chapter 3, Shalavush and the Shalma Gan Eden mitzvahs, the garments of the soul in paradise. The garments of the soul in paradise are mitzvahs. What does that mean? In paradise, the soul enjoys the radiance of the divine presence. It's not that everything's been later in depth. In order for the soul a finite being, be capable of bearing the infinite radiance, how can a soul who's finite enjoy God's radiance in Gan Eden, in paradise? It must be shielded by garments. And that's a mitzvah. So the mitzvah becomes a garment to my soul. It protects my soul so that my soul should enjoy God's radiance. Because if not, my soul would become part of the radiance. It would lose its identity. For example, if I explained above, performing mitzvahs envelops the soul in divine light as garments envelops the body. So that's the mitzvah. Atayri, Muslim Shama, Torah, it's a mitzvah, it's called the garment. Torah is called food. Torah is the food for the soul in paradise. That's what the Gemara says. Great is a person that comes to here and Talmud b'yadei, and his learning is in his head. Because whatever you learn in this world is what you're going to have in Gan Eden. The more you learn in this world, the more you acquire mazain. Because mazain is food. It's not food for the body, it's food for the soul. The more I connect my soul in this world, which he cannot connect in the upper worlds. He could not connect. That's why you understand why the soul comes down to the body. Because the soul can never connect to God like he connects in the body when the body and the soul learn Torah. So the truth is, the soul cannot do mitzvahs in Gan Eden, in paradise, cannot learn Torah like he learns Torah in this world. And therefore, that's why it says it's worth it for the soul would rather do one mitzvah and learn one thing of Torah in this world than the whole world to come. Because what you have in the world to come, which is Gan Eden, is the Torah you learned in this world and the mitzvah you did in this world. So the Torah and the mitzvah is going to surround you to be able to enjoy the radiance of God. And what is the radiance of God? Is the Torah that you learned in this world. So the more Torah you learn in this world, the more the radiance of God you will have in the world to come. And what does that mean? What kind of Torah that I have to learn? I have to learn Torah Lishma. You see that word? Lishma. That's the Hebrew word, which in English means for its own sake. Very important word, for one's own sake, for its own sake. Torah Lishma means I learned Torah for the sake of connecting to God. That's it. Not to know what to do, which is also part of important to learn Torah, to know what to do. Not to make me smart. Not to show that I'm a knowledgeable person. I'm learning Torah Lishma because I want to connect to God. That's Torah Lishma, for the sake of God's name. I want my wisdom should be the wisdom of God. The more I learn the wisdom of God, the more my wisdom comes the wisdom of God. And that's what Alter Rebbe continues. Lishma, what means learning Torah for its own sake? I'm learning Torah. The intent is binding my soul to God. That's it. I'm not interested in myself. I'm not interested in my gain. It's not about me. It's about me connecting to God. And this can be done, each person. I have to be a great tzaddik to learn and connect myself to God. The Torah was given to everybody, whether you're a great knowledgeable person, whether you're a simple person. That's also each kefi sichlai, each person according to the capacity of his intellect at that time. Hopefully your intellect will broaden. The more you learn, the more your intellect will grow. But when I'm learning, and right now for the sake of connecting to God, then that is what I'm doing right now. And that's my true connection right now. What's going to be tomorrow will be tomorrow. So we thus see from the above statement of the Eitz Chaim that Torah is food of the soul and mitzvahs are the garments. The question now arises, if Torah and mitzvahs each have their own unique quality, why the superiority of Torah study over mitzvahs? Rebbe answers this by defining the term food and garments in a spiritual context. From this explanation, it will become clear that the Torah has quality of both food and garment, hence its superiority. That's the beauty of Torah. Torah is both the mitzvah and the unity, and the concept of one's unity with God. Food refers to the level of indwelling light. The garments refer to the level of encompassing light. And therefore our sages said, a blessed memory, that the learning of Torah is equal to all other mitzvahs combined. Why? Because the mitzvah is only a garment. The mitzvah is only a garment. And the Torah is both food and also garment. The Torah has both qualities because of the mitzvah and the Torah. So the Torah has both qualities. Mitzvah is only a garment. The Torah is both a garment and food. So that's the greatness of learning Torah, because as I'm doing a mitzvah by learning Torah, and at the same time, which means I'm garmenting myself, I'm surrounding myself, and at the same moment, I'm eating, I'm digesting, I'm becoming one. So every mitzvah, I don't become one with the mitzvah. The mitzvah, I put tefillin on, the tefillin is above me. I put it around me. I use my hand for tzedakah. I don't eat charity. I give. I say words. I say prayer. It's an expression. Torah is both an expression, both an action, because I also say words of Torah, but it's also a comprehension. And that's both concepts in this aspect you don't have in any other mitzvah. How much more so if you want to express with Torah orally. For the breath of speech becomes an encompassing light that's written in the Zohar. We thus see that Torah possesses the quality of both food and garment. It is thus superior to other mitzvahs, which are garments alone. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Truly a beautiful chapter of Tanya. Today is the 4th day of the month, which was the Tillim of the day would be chapter 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So from 23 to 28 in your Tillim, and you would do the chitas of the day. I wish you all a beautiful, happy, and healthy day, a wonderful day. And amid Shem, I'll see you tomorrow morning when we will continue the chitas of the day. We'll continue to learn Chumash and Tanya of the day and connect in the morning to a much spiritual, higher